Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, December the 19th. We got a 4-game slate for Thursday. We're going to run through the slate position by position. I'll hit on the players that stand out to me the most, just looking at this slate the night before. Before we get started, guys, like always, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like down below. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Click that notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. And if you haven't yet, you can follow me on Twitter. Link is down below at DFS by Noah. I am very active over on Twitter, so would definitely appreciate it if you would give me a follow over there. Also, if you want to check out all the exclusive content I have available on Patreon, I do provide a lot of updated and in-depth content over there. I usually write an article Monday through Friday. It's usually anywhere from 8 to 10 pages long, going over all my favorite plays on the slate. I give updated core plays over on Patreon as well. I do post a roster construction video that I record in the afternoon, pretty much talking about how we should be looking to build out our lineups for that day slate. You can see all the content I have available over on Patreon. I do have NBA and NFL packages, and I also have bundle packages where you can get both sports combined for a little bit of a cheaper price. And if you do join the Patreon by Christmas, you will be invited to our $100 free roll contest on Draftkings that I will be running for the Christmas Day NBA slate. Have a chance to win $100, but that will only be available for Patreon members. So check all that out. Link is down below, patreon.com/DFS by Noah. But let's go ahead and take a look at point guard for today. Start off at the top, we got LeBron and James Harden, two most expensive options here. Harden facing the Clippers and LeBron facing the Bucks. So there is some injury news that we're waiting on, at least as of Wednesday night. It's a big one as well. Anthony Davis is questionable heading into this game on Thursday night against the Bucks. It seems like he's going to play. He said that he's hopeful to play, so I'm going into this slate expecting him to play. So that's probably not going to give me, or not going to, I'm not going to have as much interest in LeBron as I have had in the last few slates. I had a ton of him on the last slate. I think it was Tuesday night when AD was out. It didn't go well, but that was the right play to make, in my opinion. Whenever AD's off the floor, LeBron's usage just goes through the roof. But looking at the studs on the slate, that's something I wanted to talk about. For it just being 4 games, we do have a lot of the top-tier studs in action. You got Harden, Giannis, AD, LeBron, even Trae Young, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Kawhi, all these guys available today. So definitely a slate that's loaded with studs, but there's really not a ton of great value that I see, at least just taking a first look at this slate on Thursday night. So it might be tough to get these guys into your lineup, at least 2 of them. You can probably still fit in one stud of your choice with minimal value, but it's going to be hard to get like Giannis and LeBron in the same lineup, or Harden and Kawhi in the same lineup. It's going to be pretty hard to do that, and I think right now, prioritizing the studs, Giannis is probably my favorite when you factor in his salary. LeBron would probably be my second favorite. 10K for LeBron is still a little bit too cheap for a guy that has, a 45 to 50 point floor. He had a bad game against the Pacers. That was one of his worst games of the season. He still put up 42 DK points. His floor is just so high. He does have a high ceiling as well. This feels like a spot where you could get a ceiling game from LeBron going up against Giannis. It's a pace-up spot for the Lakers here as well. The Bucks are right now the fastest-paced team in the league. Definitely like LeBron at 10K. I do prefer him over Harden for over $2,000 cheaper. This is a tough matchup for Harden. He's probably going to see a lot of defense from Patrick Beverley, from Kawhi Leonard, even potentially Paul George. All those guys can defend very well. I just don't know if we get a ceiling game out of James Harden here. I think it's more likely he puts up 55 to 60 DK points rather than 70 to 80. So at 12-4 on DraftKings, he's not going to be a guy that I prioritize today, especially with minimal value. It's really tough to get him in, at least as of now. Don't really think I'm going to be paying up at point guard, though, a ton. Obviously, if AD is out, though, that would change a lot, and LeBron will become a top option for me. And then you have Trae Young in a tough spot at home against the Jazz. Don't really want to go to him at 9,800. I think I would just rather play LeBron for $200 more. You got Westbrook in sort of a kind of a narrative game here, going up against Patrick Beverley. Him and Beverley have always had beef in the past. I could see Westbrook coming out here with a little bit of fire. Obviously, he wants to play well every night, but going up against Beverley, he always tries to show up Beverley, so there's a little bit of a narrative there, I guess. 9,300, definitely in play for tournaments, probably not a core play for me. Really, I think the mid-range is where there's like core plays here and where I'm going to be probably looking to go into most of my builds. So you got Lou Williams for only $5,900 on DraftKings. I mean, I don't know why Lou Williams is this cheap on DK. He's really cheap on Yahoo as well. He's at shooting guard and he's only $23. And just looking at the shooting guard position, like it's a really bad position. If you're not paying up for James Harden at $59, you have Donovan Mitchell at $37, Lou Will at $23, Joe Harris at $19, Kevin Huerter at $12, and then just a bunch of $10 guys. I expect a lot of my shooting guard ownership is going to go to Lou Williams at $23. I mean, this is a nice matchup against the Rockets. They're a top 3 team in pace this season, so this is going to be a fast-paced game. You do have 2 of the top 10 teams in pace. Rockets ranked 3rd, Clippers ranked 6th. We see that in the total here. Right now, this game has a 233 total, 5-point spread, so it's going to be a high-scoring game, and it should be competitive as well. I mean, I really like Lou Will. Like, with his price as low as it is today, he stands out as one of the just better overall point per dollar plays on the slate. He only played 23 minutes in that game against the Suns. That was his first game back from injury. I mean, some of that could have been with the injury. Some of that could have been due to blowout. I mean, they won that game by over 20 points. I think most nights you're getting like probably 28 to 30 minutes from Lou Will coming off the bench. In a fast-paced game against the Rockets, there's a lot of upside for him here, especially at 5,900. Easily could get 6x value, probably 40 DK points, like almost his projection today. So love Lou Will. Also really like Dejounte Murray. Dejounte Murray's definitely another guy I'm going to be on quite a bit. So he's 5,700 on DK. He's very nicely priced on Yahoo as well. At point guard, he is $21. So Dejounte Murray has started the last 2 games against the Suns and the Rockets. Played 31 and 29 minutes in those 2 games. I know that game against the Suns was an overtime game. I'm pretty sure he played in overtime. So he still got like 26 minutes in that game, even after the end of regulation. But now that he is starting, it seems like he's no longer on a minutes limit. He can play 28 to 30 minutes a night. And that's what I'm projecting for him here against Brooklyn. It's a very favorable matchup. Brooklyn has struggled to defend point guards this season. Brooklyn also does play at a pretty fast pace. They are a top 10 team in pace this season. The Spurs rank 13th. Brooklyn ranks 10th. This is the 2nd highest total game on the slate. Actually, 3rd highest total right now. You do have Utah, Atlanta's at 224. Brooklyn, San Antonio's at 219. And then we don't have a total yet on the LA and Bucks game. I imagine that's because of Anthony Davis still being questionable. But I mean, Murray's been like a very good player this season just in terms of fantasy. We can look at his usage so far this season. I know he's been over a point per minute player. He's definitely been like, in terms of point per minute wise, he's definitely been less productive than he was at the beginning of the season. But still, 526 minutes played. Dejounte Murray, 1.19 fantasy points per minute, 22% usage rate, 26% assist percentage, 13.9% total rebound percentage, which is really good for a point guard. I mean, I just really like Murray in this matchup. I like that he's starting now. I think his minute ceiling is a lot higher now that he's in the starting lineup. There's much more upside for him. So him and Lou Will are 2 point guard options that really stand out to me in that mid-range. And I also think Dante DiVincenzo is the guy you can look to as well. So he is 5,200 on DK. He has started the last 2 games with Eric Bledsoe out against Cleveland, against Dallas. Played 25 and 30 minutes and has put up 33 and 38 DraftKings points. His numbers with Eric Bledsoe off the floor this season are actually pretty drastic. He does see a pretty big bump in usage. We can take Bledsoe off the floor just to show you guys. I know he's over a fantasy point per minute player. So DiVincenzo's played 275 minutes this season with Eric Bledsoe off the floor. 20% usage rate, averaging 1.04 fantasy points per minute, 17% assist percentage, and 10.5% total rebound percentage. DiVincenzo is just one of those guys that can kind of contribute in all categories. He's not really scoring dependent. Like, he can rebound, he can get assists, he can get defensive stats. This is going to be a relatively fast-paced game. I mean, the Lakers aren't a fast-paced team, but they've been playing faster than they were at the beginning of the season. Like we saw at the beginning of the season, the Lakers were like a bottom 5 team in pace, and now they're sort of middle of the pack. But I mean, whenever the Bucks are playing, it's always going to be a fast-paced game for them because they play at the fastest pace in the league. So I really like DiVincenzo here. I'm assuming he's locked in to 28 to 30 minutes. With him starting, I feel much more confident in his minute ceiling. Point guard and small forward eligible on DK, which makes him very appealing. On Yahoo, he's at small forward, and he's only $13. Like, he's one of the easiest value plays on Yahoo today. Going to be in a ton of my lineups over there. really hard to get away from him at that salary. Definitely stands out as a top value play. And then I guess if you want to take a shot on Beverly with the narrative, like him versus Westbrook, you could do that 4,400. I imagine Beverly plays a lot of minutes. Like they're going to need his defense on Russell Westbrook. So he's a fine play for 4,400. Rondo, I will have interest in today, especially if Anthony Davis is out. I'll definitely go there. But that's probably it for point guard for me. Like Cam Reddish is probably going to play close to 30 minutes. You never know what you're going to get from this guy, but his minutes floor seems pretty safe. He seems locked into 26 to 30 minutes. Like he's not a very productive player. It's not a good matchup, but he is really cheap. This slate does have quite a bit of studs to pay up for. If you're trying to pay up for 2 studs today, you're going to need some value. So I guess that's where a guy like Cam Reddish could come into play. But let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard. At this position, I think the mid-range is really strong here as well. You have a guy like Chris Middleton for 6,300. Really like Middleton here, assuming we're going to get like full minutes from him. I mean, in that game against Dallas, he only played 28 minutes in a competitive game, which was pretty concerning. I was hoping we'd get like 32 to 34 minutes from Middleton in that game. But then we saw against Memphis, he played 35 minutes, had 34 DK points. Like Middleton's numbers also go up with Eric Bledsoe off the floor. He's played 251 minutes with Bledsoe off, 1.19 fantasy points per minute. His average, 29.5% usage rate. If we look at the differential there, let's see if I can find Middleton. Middleton sees a plus 3.8% bump in usage, which is one of the bigger jumps in terms of like all Bucks starters and just all Bucks roster players. So I do like Middleton in that mid-range. You do have Joe Ingles as well for $300 less. It would be very close for me between those two guys on who I would prefer. I think right now I'd probably lean Middleton, but I do like Ingles as well. We do know that Mike Conley is going to be out again, which is going to solidify Joe Ingles for big minutes. He's going to move back into the starting lineup. He's played at least 34 minutes in 4 straight games. This is a great matchup against the Hawks. I think I have the most interest in Joe Ingles, though, on Yahoo, where he's only $20. Like, that is a really cheap price tag for Joe Ingles in this matchup, especially with Conley out. Like, his numbers don't really change drastically when Conley's off the floor, but he's just going to play more minutes, and that's really all that it is, that's really all there is to it. When you get Ingles playing 34 to 36 minutes against the Hawks, his assist percentage does go up with Conley off the floor. We'll see him handle the ball quite a bit. Like, he's put up over 29 fantasy points, pretty much 30 fantasy points in 5 straight games. I'd have to project him for probably over 30 fantasy points, and at $20, really stands out as one of the better small forward plays on Yahoo, along with Dante DiVincenzo. And I think he's a good play on DK as well at 6K. If you need value here, I think Kevin HUERTER is a fine value play. We saw him finally play big minutes, 32 minutes last game against the Knicks, 33 Draftkings points. He's no longer going to be on a minutes limit, so we should get probably 30 to 32 minutes from Kevin HUERTER here in the starting lineup. He is starting now. He's been playing a lot of backup point guard as well when Trae Young is off the floor, so obviously he's going to be more productive then whenever Young's off the floor because he can handle the ball more. His assists will go up. It's not a good matchup, but he's still really cheap. 4,900. There are definitely studs we want to pay up for today. So I could see going to HUERTER as a value. But that's probably it for shooting guard. Let's go ahead and talk about small forward now. So at small forward, I do really like Giannis here against the Lakers. This isn't a good matchup for Giannis. I mean, he's going to see plenty of Anthony Davis. He's going to see plenty of LeBron, 2 guys that can defend. I mean, but Giannis's numbers are just insane this season. And even with like all Bucks starters healthy, they're insane. But you take Bledsoe off the floor, and his usage goes up to 41.3%, averaging nearly 2 fantasy points per minute when Bledsoe's off the floor this season. 38% assist percentage, 18.5% total rebound percentage. All those numbers lead the team. Like, Giannis he does everything for this Bucks team. I've said this multiple times. I want to roster Giannis when he's going to be in a competitive game. Like, I don't care what the matchup is. As long as I can get 34 minutes from Giannis, those are the days I want to roster him. And I feel like this is a game we're going to get probably 34 to 36 minutes from Giannis. It should be a close game. I've seen places like Yahoo has it right now as a 4-point spread. That seems about right. That's probably where I would project it for. Like, I'd imagine the Bucks would be like small favorites here. If AD is out or if he winds up sitting, then I guess there could be a little bit of blowout potential. But I think AD is going to play today. I think we're going to get a competitive game here. I'm definitely going to watch this game. This is going to be an awesome game just to watch overall as an NBA fan. So, love Giannis at 11-3. I think he's a top play on the slate. he's just too cheap for a guy that averages nearly 2 fantasy points per minute and is probably going to play over 30 minutes today. Tough matchup, but still, I mean, the guy's just such a productive player. He'll get his numbers. He'll get rebounds. He'll find ways to score. He's going to contribute no matter what. So love Giannis on DK. Love him on Yahoo as well at power forward for $56. Comparing his salary to the other studs on Yahoo, you got Harden at 59, Giannis at 56, LeBron's 53, AD's 52, and then you have Trae Young, Westbrook, Leonard, George like in the 40s. I think on Yahoo I'm definitely leaning Giannis as well for $56. But just other small forwards you could look to. You do have Kawhi and PG, who are more of secondary options for me. Maybe lineups where I have maybe a little mini game stack of that game, I'll get exposure to those guys. But if I'm just choosing studs to pay up for today, I do prefer Giannis. I do prefer LeBron. Kawhi and PG are probably going to be more secondary options, and I honestly don't think I'm going to get that much exposure to them today. If they go off, then they go off, but rarely do we get massive ceiling games from these guys when they're healthy. You're much more likely to get a ceiling game from someone like LeBron or Giannis or even James Harden, maybe even Westbrook as well. I think small forwards got a lot of good mid-range plays we've talked about, like Chris Middleton, Joe Ingles you could look to. I mean, Jabari Parker's price is way down, but it's a really tough matchup. Plus, his minutes have been trending down, which we don't love to see. So even though he's really cheap, I probably won't be going there. Kevin Huerter you can play as a value. I think DeAndre Hunter is a fine value as well. He's similar to Cam Reddish, except he's a much more productive player than Cam Reddish. He seems locked in, though, to big minutes every night. I mean, he's played 37, 37, and 31 minutes the last 3 games. I mean, it seems like he's going to play probably 30-plus minutes a night. Tough matchup, but he would definitely be in play for me. I probably would slightly lean Kevin Huerter for a little bit less, but both guys are at least going to be in my player pool, I know, as value, especially since we don't have much value or just right now. There's really no cheap plays that I like at small forward today. So talking about power forward, looking at this position, you do have Anthony Davis for $10,100 against the Bucks. I'm assuming he plays today. If he does play, I like him a lot in this matchup. I imagine that Giannis is probably going to defend LeBron, so I don't know who the Bucks are going to put on Anthony Davis, whether it's Brook Lopez or maybe Chris Middleton will defend LeBron and then they'll put Giannis on AD. But regardless, I mean, AD is one of the most unguardable players in the league. This dude is just so good. I mean, his usage, him and LeBron are just doing everything. Like, if the Lakers aren't going to put up 90 up to 100 points if AD and LeBron aren't doing anything. Like, their bench is fine, but it's not like that good of a bench. Like, this Lakers team is carried by AD and LeBron. So tough matchup or not, I mean, AD's a top play for me as well. I do prefer Giannis because I think Giannis gives you more of like that. He gives you a much higher floor, much higher ceiling as well. But I mean, AD's a strong play. I think I'd probably, between AD and LeBron, it's very close. There's a $100 difference on DK, $1 difference on Yahoo. With the positional flexibility on DK, I would probably lean Anthony Davis. But on Yahoo, where AD's also power forward, like, you're probably not going to be able to play AD and Giannis together because that takes up 2 of your power forward spots, and like you're going to have to find like a lot of value at the other spots. So I would definitely lean LeBron on Yahoo, AD on Draftkings. LaMarcus Aldridge, though, someone I want to talk about. I do like him quite a bit in this matchup against Brooklyn. Definitely a favorable spot here. Centers against Brooklyn has always been a target. I know they're still allowing a ton of fantasy points to centers this season. We're seeing LaMarcus Aldridge play big minutes, 35, 39, 37, 38 minutes a night. I mean, he's been very productive as of late as well. 7,300, there's plenty of upside for Aldridge to pay off that salary. Really like him on Yahoo. I think he's one of the better center plays at $30. You do have Capella at 34, Gobert at 34, and then Aldridge at 30. Like, a lot of my center exposure is going to go to those 3 guys because there's really not much I like for value. Obviously, though, if like AD were to sit, I mean, you do have JaVale McGee, who's still really cheap. Dwight Howard's still really cheap, but I expect that AD probably plays today. But in the mid-range at power forward, there's really not much here that I like. Montrezl Harrell's really cheap, $6,100, so definitely wanted to mention him. I mean, his price is really low on DK. I don't love this matchup for him, but he should be in line for pretty big minutes here, probably 30 minutes off the bench. Harrell's been a point-per-minute player this season. There's definitely upside for him. Him and Lou Williams are both underpriced on DraftKings today, so he would probably be my favorite mid-range play at power forward. There's really no value here, though, that I like besides the guys I've already talked about, like DeAndre Hunter you could take a shot on. I'm not really much of a PJ Tucker fan. Like, he just doesn't do much for fantasy, even though he plays big minutes. Like, the upside's really limited for him. So I think we pretty much covered power forward. Let's run through center real quick just before we end the video. So these three centers, Gobert, Capella, Aldridge, it's going to be really tough for me deciding between these three guys. Like on Yahoo, or on Draftkings, you can play Aldridge at power forward, which makes it easy to, like, if you wanted to play two of these three. On Yahoo, though, it's really tough, like with Capella at 34, Gobert at 34, Aldridge 30. Right now, I think it's tough. Right now, I think I'd probably lean Aldridge as my favorite, just given the savings. Gobert probably be my second favorite, and then Capella third, but I expect to probably have equal exposure to all three guys. I have a lot of interest in all three. I like this matchup for Capella. Whether they put Zubac or Harrell on him, I mean, both those guys should struggle to defend Capella. He's done really well this season against the Clippers, averaged 43 Draftkings points against them through 2 games. He's averaged nearly 20 rebounds per game against the Clippers, which really isn't crazy. I mean, he's averaging nearly 15 rebounds a game this season. Been one of the best rebounders in the league. This is definitely a spot there where we could get a 20-20 game from Clint Capella. 7,600, I do have a decent amount of interest in him. I also think this is a very friendly matchup for Rudy Gobert. Whether they're going to put like Damian Jones or Alex Len on him, I mean, those guys are going to struggle to defend Rudy Gobert. Like, Gobert's floor is so high. This guy gives you pretty much 35 to 40 DraftKings points a night. He's a lock for a double-double. We know he can block a ton of shots. It's just a matter of, do you get like the 25 and 15 kind of game from Gobert, or are you getting like a 15 and 15 game? Like, if he goes for 20 and 15 and puts up 50 DK points, obviously you're going to be happy at 7,800. But if he gets like a 15 and 13 kind of game and you get 40 DK points, that's not as appealing. I think if you were, or just choosing between those two, like, it's more likely you get a ceiling game out of Gobert against the Hawks rather than like a floor game, just in my opinion. You got Harrell in the mid-range you could play. Jared Allen you could look to as well, but he's probably more of a secondary play for me. If I'm not paying up for like Gobert, Capella, or Aldridge, probably just going to be looking to go cheap here, and there is a cheap play that I like. But there's actually multiple cheap plays. I mean, 2 of them are depending on if Anthony Davis is out. So if he's out, obviously Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, even though they got priced up, would still be really good values. But I do want to talk about Alex Len. So Alex Len's only 4,500 on DraftKings. I think this is a matchup where we see Alex Len probably play 26, maybe close to 28 minutes. I just don't see Damian Jones being able to match up with Rudy Gobert. I think Damian Jones is just too small. He's just not going to do well against Gobert. Alex Len's a guy they can put on Gobert. I mean, Len's a big dude. He just, size-wise, he matches up with Gobert. And Len's been a very productive player this season. We can look at his numbers, just his point-per-minute rates so far this season. Really, the only reason he's not having like a big fantasy season, I guess, the only reason he's not like 6, 7K on DraftKings is because he only plays like 20, 22 minutes a night. Like, they don't give him minutes. If he played 30 minutes a night, he'd probably be like a 6K play or 6K player every night. But just looking at his numbers this season, he's played 482 minutes with the Hawks, averaging 1.05 fantasy points per minute. He's not a high usage player, but he does have a 15% total rebound percentage. I mean, Len's a guy that can get you a double-double easily if he plays 26 to 28 minutes. It's a tough matchup against Gobert. I mean, we know Gobert's a really good defender. I just think this is a spot where the minutes are going to be there for Len because they really have no one else that they can put up against Gobert that's going to match up well with him. Like, Damian Jones, his minutes have been trending down already. I mean, he played 9 minutes last game. Like, given this matchup, given that Jones' minutes are trending down, we could see maybe 30 minutes from Alex Len at 4,500 on a 4-game slate where we want to definitely take a couple risks, maybe find these guys that are low-owned that give you the potential for like ceiling games. Alex Len, I think right now he's looking like that guy for me, that low-owned guy that could definitely spark, put up maybe 30, 35 DK points. It's like you got to try and find those guys on 4-game slates. Like, there's going to be a lot of chalk, so you definitely want to try and differentiate, especially if you're playing tournaments. Like, if you want to take down a tournament, win first place, you got to make some maybe risky plays or lower-owned plays, and I think Alex Len, I'm assuming he's going to be low-owned today, so he's the guy that I would definitely take as a lower-owned tournament play. But yeah, I think that's it for DraftKings. You can definitely play Len on Yahoo as well. I don't think you need to because there's a lot of value just elsewhere, but if you want to pay up at center and then maybe play Len in your utility, I could see doing that. Len's only $12 on Yahoo. Definitely in play for me as a value option. So yeah, guys, think we covered everything, went through each position. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. As always, I greatly appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit that like button before you get out of here and subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. You can click that notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. You can also follow me on Twitter, link down below at DFS by Noah. And if you do want to check out all the content I have available on Patreon, feel free to do so. My Patreon is linked down below, patreon.com/DFS by Noah. I'm uploading and posting a lot of in-depth content over there. I have articles, private videos, updated core plays, have a ton of NFL content going up on the weekends for the main slate. So check out all the content I have over there. If you sign up by Christmas, you will be invited to our $100 free roll contest. Have a chance to win $100 on the Christmas Day NBA slate. But yeah, good luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.